Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here, and thank you for that for the introduction. Indeed, earlier was with Bellingcat. Please bear with me. I'm not feeling really well, so my voice may sound a bit muffled. But yeah, I would like to talk about visual investigations, and it will be even nicer to see the full screen for all of you than see my face, because my face is not that interesting. But hopefully, what I'm going to show you on screen is. So the visual investigations team at the New York Times is a relatively new team. We focus on lots of different stuff. We make 3D reconstructions, or we team up with others to do that. We focus on international conflict and war. Here in the top left, you can see the chemical attack in Syria, but also cases of police brutality in the US and other countries in the world, as we can see here on the bottom left. And on the bottom right, we can see here the murder of Khashoggi, the Saudi journalist and dissident, and the top right is Las Vegas mass shooting. But because we don't have a lot of time, I actually just wanted to show you one single video and how that single video became breaking news. So I want to talk about a case that's flight PS752. And I want to take you back to early 2020. It seems a very long time ago, I know. But this is my colleague. This is Slack, right? We use Slack as a platform to communicate with each other. This is one of my colleagues, and he shares this a tweet that claims that an airplane had crashed near Tehran, the Iranian capital's main airport. Now, his message, whoa, is like that simply because this was, remember, during a very tense period between the United States and Iran. There was a tit for tat going on between Iran and the United States, and it culminated in the killing of, the assassination of General Qasem Soleimani, a very top Iranian commander. And in response to that, Iran launched intercontinental ballistic missiles to US-led coalition targets in Iraq. So everybody was holding their breath. What's going to be the next step, in this tit for tat between Iran and the United States? And then suddenly, that report comes out that a plane has crashed, hours after Iran had sent these ballistic missiles. So the question is, what's going on? So I want to show you what we're basically doing. How do you start? An interesting thing is intro said like AI and like sophisticated tools, but that's kind of the opposite of what we do, quite honestly. Like what we do is using openly available information and combine it with traditional reporting to get a sense, okay, what are the facts? What really happened? Because in these tense situations, it's sometimes unclear what actually unfolded. So I want to show you the steps we took. And basically, all these steps are something anyone with an internet connection can do, because all the tools we're using are free. All the information that we're using in this case is publicly available. So that's actually a very interesting aspect. So to start, basically the skeleton of our investigation would be flight traffic data, right? So there are a lot of hobbyists and others that feed information, transponder signals of aircraft into freely available maps like Flight Radar 24 and others. And here we can see on the map, we can see the icon of the flight. And if we scroll down, we can actually download the specific information of the flight as a CSV file, but also as a KML. And a KML is a very sorry, I'm not seeing the screen. It's a bit tricky, so I'm waiting for it. My screen is in the studio, so to say, and not here with me. So I am waiting to see the screen so I can actually see what you all are seeing. For the studio, it would be great if you could show the full screen. Thank you. So if you download this as a KML rather than a spreadsheet, the great thing is that you can actually get that data into Google Earth. And Google Earth Pro is also free software. And you can see that not only the flight path is now in a two-dimensional view, but also three-dimensional view, right? And there's a base layer of satellite image of Google Maps that's also in Google Earth. So I can like look around, you can see like how the surroundings look like. And you can see basically, okay, where was that last transponder signal of that aircraft? And the great thing is, these are the first factual stepping stones for us to get a sense of what's going on. And underneath it, you can see, we can see there's like the last transponder signal under there. I could assume this could be the place where it crashed, but you can see how high it is, right? It's not that it's very low to the ground and then crashed. So the transponder signal went off somewhere in the air. So something in the air happened there. Like for some reason, it wasn't transmitting a signal anymore. Now the city under that, it's close to Tehran, the Iranian capital. But it's a specific village which we can, or town, actually that then you at least know, okay, what can we look for? Now, in this moment, these are the first hours after the crash. It's the middle of the night in New York. It's starting to get morning in Iran. What is really important is that we still, we don't really know what happened. And the official line of the Iranian authorities is that it was a plane crash. So we are, there could be multiple reasons why this plane crashed. So one thing that we started doing before it started getting morning in Iran is going to this, basically mapping out military infrastructure around that last transponder signal. And this is a great website called Wikimapia. It's basically a Wikipedia for mapping services. It's also freely available, just like Wikipedia, right? It's user-generated content, so by no means verified. So this would never be something that we publish at the New York Times, but it's, again, a great stepping stone to get a sense, okay, what is in the area? And I can actually click on categories here, and I can type military, and then all the red dots that you see appearing are locations that were tagged as military locations, so including some rocket launch sites. Now, that's very interesting because, still at this point, most of the information we had pointed toward just maybe a crash, maybe a tactical malfunction because it was the official line. But it was important to be like prepared. Okay, what if we find out more information? A rocket launch could have been shot down, something like that. So we try to verify these locations with academics and researchers actually focus on Iran's like military. But meanwhile, we already mapped those and add them to our Google Earth that you saw earlier. Now, this turned out to be very important, all of it together, because then this video appeared. And let's have a very close look at this video. You're going to hear the audio, and let's just have a one-time look at it. See a flash in the air, dogs barking. And then a very loud explosion, right? So let's look at it in slow motion. This video was shared on Telegram, allegedly saying, oh, this is a missile hitting flight PS752, the name of the civilian airliner that had crashed. So let's have a close look at the video and slow it a bit down. So from left to right, we can see an object going through the sky. It hits something in the air. There's an explosion. There's debris falling off, and the object in the sky is continuing to go from right to left. This is very important, while being on fire, it seems. So how do we verify a video like this that we feel comfortable with eventually publishing on the Times? So the first thing I do is reaching out to the source, right? And the source that shared this video was not the actual filmer, but he said he was still in contact with the filmer. So that's the first thing. Like, hey, why did he start filming? Because it's the middle of the night, or morning actually, and why is it he suddenly starts filming? That's pretty interesting. So it's like, well, he heard a really loud bang or like sound, so he started filming. So what kind of sound? It's like, what is this? He's like, it just sort of kind of shot fired. But this may be some translation issue as well. But further, when we were asking more things about this, it was like, well, that bang you hear in the video, he said he's heard something similar and then started filming, right? That's why the dogs are already barking. Now, if you want to geolocate this video, meaning if you want to find the exact location where this video was filmed, I'm going to look somewhere around that last transponder signal, right? Because assuming this would be flight PS752, that's where I'm going to look. So this is the flight pad, right? The flight pad has the exact time, location, height, and so on. In the video, the object in the air that would be the plane is going from right to left. The missile is going from left to right. So basically, this is the only perspective that I would be able to properly, where it could be, what we do would be the view, the perspective from the video that we were just seeing. So I'm waiting for the screen to be back. So I'm going to show some details on screen. So, okay, so this is the last transponder signal, right? So we eventually managed to geolocate, so find the exact location of that video right here. And I'll explain you why, right? So this is a screenshot from the video, right? Remember, this is the moment where there's this big flash. Now look at some of the details that we're seeing in that video, right? We can see these apartment blocks. We can count how many floors these buildings have. It's like, I think, a 5, maybe 6-story building. And we can see that there are multiple buildings in a line, right? We can count, probably, if you look closely, at least 5, probably more. So when you're looking at the satellite image that I have here on the background in Google Earth and the last transponder signal and the direction where to look, it's like, okay, that's a good clue, right? Because if we zoom in on that satellite image, I can count the stories of the building. However, there's more clues. There is some kind of, construction site in front of those buildings. And there is some like security booth, and there's like a cement mixer that I could see. And when you're actually like closer zooming in, actually, well, just to give you a sense, this is the building, right? Or the buildings. The only ones that actually matched in this small geographical area were those buildings. And then here you have a cement mixer visible, and even on the satellite imagery, that little dot with the white stripe that I drew there, that's the cement mixer that you could actually see on satellite imagery too. So we could geolocate this video. We would know that this video was indeed filmed close to where the last transponder signal was. Now, what made it interesting, like if I draw a line from the explosion right down, right, I can recreate that line on Google Maps, drawing it over the exact windows of the building, over the side of the building, going up into the air to see where that explosion happened. And that makes it interesting too, because there is a distance between the last transponder signal and that line, that explosion that we see in the sky. But remember, we heard from the source that filmed this video that there was a first explosion he heard. So assuming that could be the first, the last transponder signal right here. And then a second explosion that he actually captured on camera, which would be around here. Now, there are some extra ways in which you could verify this video, which are pretty interesting. Namely, if I look at the data points that I have right now, so you can see the last transponder signal has a height, has speed, has a heading it is going, that's information. Let's assume that very small distance is covered between the first missile strike and the second, right? The airplane is still in the air. Let's assume it's around the same thing. Now we know the geolocation, which is here, right? Second missile. Nariman is the guy who uploaded the video. Now I can draw a line, that red line, on the ground under that point where we see the explosion in the sky. So I'm gonna turn this into like a more 2D view to make it a little bit more easy to see what kind of information we have, right? So let's turn this black and white to have a little bit better sense. So what data entry points do we have? Well, first, here we have the video, right? We know the exact location. We know the above ground level. We know we know all of that, right? We have found the exact location where the video was filmed. Secondly, we know approximately the height and location of the plane. Now, we can draw. Okay, sorry, I'm losing my screen. So I'm just waiting for the studio. I'll try to continue without the screen, but let me do this, see what I know without. Okay, so you can draw a line between the two, right? And interesting thing is that, there is a delay of sound between the flash and the bang that you hear, right? And remember, you can see that explosion in the air, and then you hear this loud bang. And there's around like 11.5 seconds between that time. So you can, with the speed of sound, you can very easily calculate the distance, because there is this speed of sound and delay of sound, right, compared to light. So that's around 4,000 meters, right, between the filming location and the location of the explosion. Now, secondly, we can also, we know the height, the approximate distance between sea level and the airplane, which is, according to the data, right, around like 8,000 feet. The ground level is around 3,700 feet. So that's important, right? We need to minus that ground level from it. So the actual flight altitude above ground level would be somewhere around like 1,200 meters or 1,300 meters, right? So we have already these two data entries. Now the third is literally the location. If we make it a triangle, the filming location towards basically the ground level location of the airplane. So what is right under the airplane where it's flying, right? And we can just calculate that. That's 3,674 meters if we do it based on our location. However, if we would not do it based on our location, right? So I'm remove that. Okay, it's going to be annoying. I need to click through all of this again. Right, we have this location based on the video. We have this distance right here based on the flight data. Now, what do you know? Like I was not good at mathematics in high school, but like this, and I was also not the one who came up with this, but it was actually my boss, Malachi Brown. If you have two sides of a triangle, you can calculate the third. So while we can use indeed, we can use that number that we calculate on Google Earth, 3,000, 3,600 meters, let's say roughly. However, we can also just use our two other data points to see, well, would they be approximately the same number if we calculate it not based on this geolocation, right, but just on the speed of sound distance and the flight altitude. And that's very interesting because we can actually do. And the Pythagoras theorem, right, like C quadrant, A quadrant plus B quadrant is C quadrant, right? We can calculate the two legs that we know, not based on our geolocation, but based on the speed of sound and based on the flight altitude. And you can see that there's two legs of A and B, or whatever way you do it, right? Like in this case, it would be C and B, is 380 meters. So there's like a slight difference there, right? There's like 100 meters plus 100 meters difference, but that's not that much if you realize, like, wow, like this makes sense. Like the geolocation makes sense and so on. Anyway, we did a lot more verification that I cannot go into detail right now because we don't have time, but this was fascinating. We were able within like 40 minutes since we saw the video to verify it. This all happened in 40 minutes. We explain it in another 30 to 40 minutes to like the high editors at the New York Times so that they knew like, this video is verified. And then, the article came out as breaking news because this was the first time that we had visual evidence that this was not a plane crash, but it was shot down. There's a missile going towards the airplane, and that's pretty intense. So the interesting thing is, like, independently, Bellingcat, the previous organization I was with, also verified the video, and they were faster than the New York Times to have someone at the location and to look at it. And the interesting thing here is even, you can see, if you see the both videos, right, video on the right and the daytime video, you can see the same apartment blocks. You can actually see the dogs. You can see the dogs behind the fence. You can see the construction site, the cement mixer, everything, right? So that's super interesting. Now, this all, I think, contributed to mounting pressure on the Iranian government. I'm not, and 1.5 days after the 4 days after the crash and 1.5 days after the publication, there was more breaking news because Iran admitted that they had shut down the plane, which was a complete reverse from their claim that it was a technical malfunction. They actually admitted that they shut it down. Now, I'm not saying it's because of our investigation, but it does go to show that if governments choose to lie or not tell the complete truth, even in an authoritarian country where information is repressed, nowadays with so many people with mobile phones and so on, filming stuff, putting it online, and people try to analyze that material, there is still, it goes to show it will be harder to kind of deny these kind of things. That's it for me. I hope that was interesting to you. Make sure to check out the Visual Investigations team at the Times, and always feel free to be in touch. We do way more investigations than just this, but I hope it gave good insight of how basically anyone with the internet connection can verify these kind of things. Thanks very much.